My name is Stormie Hughes, and today I will be doing a lesson over how to teach parts of speech to intermediate students grades 4 through 6. The grammar keys that they will be focusing on today are nouns, adjectives, and verbs, and I will be switching in between modeling how I would teach it to the students as well as teaching you as an language or ESL educator. So the first thing that I want to do is kind of explain the importance of grammar, and I'm going to switch the screen. So the importance of teaching and learning grammar is that grammar is an important part of learning a language. Of course, it assists with understanding how to construct correct sentences as well as speaking in the correct way. Without the student having an adequate knowledge or adequate amount of knowledge towards grammar, they could kind of fall behind in their other academic areas like math and history. Math with the word problems, and then history is a lot of reading and a lot of memory skills. So if they are not able to connect with the reading portion, then they won't be able to remember anything because they won't have anything to remember. So it's up to us as the language educator to make sure that they have an adequate amount of grammar skills taught to them so that they won't fall behind in any other academic area. The approach for this lesson will be a multi-sensory approach and an interactive approach. According to a study included in the Australian Journal of Education, natural and meaningful communication paired with discussion-based material will result in successful language teaching. I know that if I am sitting down in a class and I'm just taking notes and that's kind of all I'm doing, the teacher is lecturing, I'm probably not going to focus the entire time. But if everything is kind of interactive and there's times where I can work with a partner and then times where I can work by myself, then there's a greater chance of me paying attention and actually retaining some information. And then the multi-sensory language teaching is kind of used for dyslexic students a lot, but it can go hand in hand with ESL because they both have an issue with reading and the language, connecting it to the connecting their motor skills to the language that they're reading. So if we color code things, they might be able to have a better chance at remembering what certain things are, where they go, and how they are supposed to be read. So that's why I use the multisensory approach at the end of the lesson in order for the students to identify the nouns, verbs, and adjectives that they use in their writing. So whenever I start a lesson, here you go. I always start with an objective. So the objective for today is that we will, as the teacher and the student, define nouns, adjectives, and verbs. And then I will, meaning the students either working in a group or individually, will interview my partner by using question stems and identifying nouns, adjectives, and verbs in the responses. So the I will is normally what they do towards the end of class. Sometimes it is the exit ticket, but for this purpose, I put the I will as the actual activity that they will do after they get notes. So what I did in order for them to have this information by the time they get to the writing portion is create a foldable. Now I have a lot of ideas for foldables, but here's one. This is a little flip chart. I'll kind of try to zoom it in for you guys. All right, so in here, I actually created enough slips to do the 8 parts of speech, but even though we're only focusing on 3, I just want to show you how it looks. And underneath, it has all of the information, the actual term, the definition, and examples. Now, if you're teaching intermediate, you might want to print out the notes already and cut them into slips and have the kids just glue them in because that's going to save you a lot of writing time. I also have some little examples like this. Now, if you type them, they could be a lot smaller, but I want them to be big so you guys can see on the camera. But like noun, and then I have the definition. Sorry. Here you go. Hopefully you can see that. I'm not good with this, but yes. So you have the definition. The kids can just glue them in. And as you are going through your PowerPoint slides, because I use PowerPoint a lot, they can be gluing in. So you can instruct the kids to listen first and then glue. So like this. Okay, guys. What is a noun? A noun is a person, place, or thing, right? So get your noun slip, take your noun slip and put the glue on the noun slip, and I want you to glue it right underneath here so that you know that this is where the noun information goes, okay? So take your glue, put it on the back, and only glue one slip, which is the noun slip. Can you say noun? Everybody say noun. Thank you. So that's how I would instruct them, because some of them are still kind of beginnerish, and then some of them are leaning towards advanced, but everybody needs direct instruction when it comes to cutting, pasting, coloring, anything like that. So then after I do that, I will say, can you give me an example of a person? Can anybody give me an example of a person? Raise your hand. Thank you for raising your hand. I will choose you to answer the question. And then I will instruct them to answer the question using the STEM. So before John answers the question, I'm going to show you, Miss Hughes is going to show you how I want you to answer the question, okay? An example of a noun can be blank, okay? So an example of a noun can be me, a teacher. A teacher is a noun. A teacher is a person. John, can you give me your answer using this sentence stem, please? And then you will let the student answer using the sentence stem. I also have pictures here on the screen because I wanted to show them just in case some people were just not understanding all the way. So I would have the people, the place, and then a thing. Okay. So that would be like a whole class discussion. Let me show you guys. At the top, it says whole class, meaning I'm allowing the whole class to respond and give me answers. Now, this time I will do a turn and talk, which means that they'll be working with a partner. So for an adjective, I would do the same concept. What is an adjective? An adjective is a describing word. Okay. So here is another example of notes. This is called a Freyer model. You can also glue and paste the strips of definitions here like this. So for definition, I would put a word that describes a noun and tell the kid to glue it there. Okay. So that's just a Freyer model. And then on the screen, I have the pizza. It looks all cheesy. And I did that just in case some kids didn't understand how to identify with what a describing word is. So I would tell the people that are sitting next to each other to pair up. And then they would ask each other, what is your favorite food? My favorite food is pizza because it is cheesy, gooey, golden, hot. Okay, so I would model that, and then once they get into their partners, then they will be able to discuss and understand like what I mean by a describing word. So that's a turn and talk, and then of course the picture for a reference. And you also want to make sure that you always have bilingual and regular dictionaries available just in case some students may not know the word in English, and it can just help them out. And they won't be scared to discuss out loud if I ask them to discuss out loud if they had that reference before talking to the entire class. And then lastly, we have verbs. And of course, I have this picture that actually shows the action with the word next to it, just in case they don't understand what the word is. So I will still do the same exact process, except this time I'm going to pass out little slips like this to each student. And on the slip, they have different verbs. So jump, whistle, clap, sing, spin, run in place, and snap. So I will pass this out, and once everybody has a slip, I will instruct the kid to stand up, pushing their chair, and then I will tell them once the buzzer rings, they will perform whatever the action is on the slip. If you do not understand the word on your slip, please raise your hand. Okay, so that is how we'll see who kind of needs a little help and who doesn't. Okay, I also still have the bilingual dictionaries there because some of the kids that I teach are very independent, and they don't necessarily want the help. They kind of want to do it on their own, which is fine. So it's kind of fun too because it kind of gets them out of their seat, you know, and then they get to do something fun and they get to see what everybody else had. Okay. And then I will explain to them that a verb is an action word, anything that shows a motion. Okay. So that is a movement. Movement. All right. So now we're going to get to the actual critical piece of the lesson, and I called it Find Your Soulmate. So the students will have to find somebody in the class who has kind of the same color shoe as them, and the teacher will have to kind of modify and assist in this process because they like to say, well, his shoes are not my color and my shoes, I don't have anybody. Okay, so then that is when I will come in and assist and try to pair people together. Or sometimes it might be a group of three, depending on how many people you have in your class. But they will get a slip, and I also have it on the board too, like how it is right here on the screen. So they will get a slip. And as you can see, I use a lot of question stems and sentence stems because it allows for them to see how things are supposed to be structured in a sentence, or in this case, a paragraph. So once they have their partner, they will interview their partner based on the sentence structure. So it says, today blank is feeling blank because blank. Okay. So before they even start, okay, find your soulmate, you have your partner, you have your slip. Okay, Miss Hughes is going to model. Miss Hughes is going to model. Okay, so I will put this under my document camera, and then I will show them how to fill in and what's supposed to go in the blank. Now, when they have their slip, I would have what kind of word is supposed to go in that blank. So underneath, like this, it'll say noun. Here it'll say adjective, and here it will have a variety, noun, verb, adjective, just based on what the person responds. So I put, today Miss Hughes is feeling happy. Happy. Miss Hughes is feeling happy. Okay. Why is Miss Hughes happy? Because it is almost Thanksgiving. Miss Hughes is feeling happy because it is almost Thanksgiving. And then I will write it down, and they will see like how I'm being expressive, what words I'm emphasizing more on, and things of that sort. So they will go through that whole process. It talks about asking their partner about their hobbies, why they like their hobbies, how they're feeling in that exact moment, so that I can get some kind of something that they can relate to, that they won't have trouble describing because it'll be familiar to them. And then last but not least, after they finish that, this is how I would assess if they understand the nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So after they get their responses, then I will assign colors, which is normally red, green, and blue. And so they will have to go through their response and circle all of the nouns that they see in red, all of the adjectives in blue, and then all of the verbs in green. And this is a super easy way to see if the kids can actually just identify them. Okay, we have to identify them before we can see if they know the actual definitions. Um, and they can use their foldables because remember, all throughout the notes, they are gluing those strips definitions in. Or if you have an advanced class, they can just write them down. But I think it's easier if they just glue the strip. It takes like 30 seconds. So once they identify all of the nouns, verbs, and adjectives, then in order for you to leave the class for the exit ticket, you have to read me one line off of your interview response, and you have to tell me what kind of terminology from the notes today that you identify with your color. So once that's over, you can just pick them up, and then that's the whole class period. I did this with a 90-minute class period, but if you don't have 90 minutes, you can break it up. And it was fun, and the kids actually remembered. Oh, yeah, I remember I was spinning in Miss Hughes' class, and I remember that that's a verb, right? So it's just a fun and interactive way to engage the students in learning grammar. I hope that this was informational for you, and I hope that you can use it with your class. So thank you.